The Genuine Article. Discussion and commentary based on articles from JACC.
Hello, I'm Tony DeMaria, the editor of JACC, here talking with Phil Greenland. Dr. Greenland's well known to everybody, professor of medicine and preventive medicine at Northwestern, and Phil and colleagues have addressed an important question, which is whether or not biomarkers can be used to further risk stratify patients for atherosclerosis, and in fact particularly paid attention to women, and in women this has been an important question. So Phil, can you tell us a little bit about the specifics of the study?
Yes, Tony. This is an analysis of postmenopausal women from the Women's Health Initiative. We looked at 18 non-traditional biomarkers in addition to the traditional biomarkers as prediction factors for cardiovascular outcomes in postmenopausal women.
Now, how did you select the biomarkers that you looked at?
So we thought that the putative biomarkers here would fall into the categories of inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, thrombotic markers like D-dimer. So those were the main categories that we looked at.
Yeah, we really covered the waterfront. What did you find?
So the main finding here was somewhat unexpected. The additional 18 biomarkers that we looked at beyond the traditional added modest additional predictive information. And what was particularly surprising to some of us was that C-reactive protein, for example, was not as strong an additional predictor as some might have expected. We found, on the other hand, that interleukin-6 and D-dimer were somewhat additionally predictive, but in the bottom line was that the majority of the prediction really came from the traditional risk factors.
So I guess a question that some people might ask, this is compatible with other studies that have been done. How do your data add to the body of knowledge?
Well, I think that this study does add confirmation that the blood biomarkers really add only a very modest amount to the traditional biomarkers. I think that the other important new information here is, for whatever reason, in postmenopausal women, like those in the Women's Health Initiative, the inflammatory markers were not as useful as some have previously reported. I think that's new and important information.
Should we, Phil, be turning our attention for risk stratification to evidence of atherosclerosis in women, carotid disease, or perhaps coronary calcification?
Tony, I think that's a really good question and an important one. And as you know, our group at Northwestern and others have been interested in that. Unfortunately, for this particular study, we didn't have those measures, but I think that's really the direction where we might see some additional prediction, not particularly in the blood biomarkers.
So given your data on the biomarkers, I guess we're still at the Framingham risk score fundamentally. Should we continue to rely on that, or should we give everybody a poly pill with perhaps aspirin and a statin?
Well, that's another really great question, Tony. You know, I think that what the data have shown in aggregate, in addition to our study, is that the traditional prediction models work pretty well. It's awfully hard to do much better than the traditional risk prediction markers. And it really does make one stop and think that perhaps, some cutoff, intermediate and higher, might be better with just starting them on a medication. It's a trial that needs to be done.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. This is important information for us. We've got a plethora of biomarkers that are being described in the literature, and we need some advice as to how to apply them. And it looks like, for risk stratification at least, in women, postmenopausal women, they have a very limited role at all. Thanks very much for being with us.
The Genuine Article. discussion and commentary based on articles from JACC.